Hi, my name is James Hunt. I'm a member of the E-Club of Rotary District 6600 Ohio Pathways. For today's program, I'd like to talk about 3 lessons that I've learned in life and how I feel they apply to Rotary International's efforts to eradicate polio from the world. The story begins in 1953 when I was 6 years old in Shelby, Ohio, in north Central Ohio, population 10,000. My father had recently been transferred from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base to the new Shelby Air Force Depot as a federal employee. We, in the first grade, were what you would call guinea pigs for the testing of the new oral vaccine to eliminate polio before it was ever released to the public market. I can remember it as though it was yesterday as we lined up in that gymnasium at Auburn Elementary School, the sun shining down on that shiny floor, looking at those nurses in their white uniforms and the doctors standing there in their white jackets as they handed us 2 cups. One had water in it, the other had a pill. We took it, we drank the water, and we went back to our class. About a year later, my friend, Roger Hicks, who was ahead of me in line because they lined us up alphabetically, my last name being Hunt, was sick. I told my mother I wanted to ride my bicycle over to see him. She said, "No, you can't do that." I said, "Why not?" "Well, Jimmy, he's sick. He has polio." I said, "What?" "I thought we received that medicine so that we would never be sick, that polio wouldn't exist. We were doing that." She says, "Well, you have to understand, they were running a test. They gave the real medicine like they did to you and to other people like the Roger. They gave him a placebo." And I didn't understand that word placebo, but I knew that he didn't receive what I received. And it was my first lesson in life is not always fair. In 2005, we sold both of our businesses. And while I remained with the company, was semi-retired, I also decided that I wanted to teach college. At the beginning of the semester, we were called into the dean's office, and he went over and told us that, what we do here is we have all the students do an evaluation, and you will receive an envelope right before Christmas. But my advice to you is not to open that envelope. Wait till after Christmas so it doesn't spoil your holidays. So, sure enough, about 3 days before Christmas, I received that yellow envelope. And you guessed it, I couldn't wait. I opened it up and I started reading the reports. Mr. Hunt is a delightful teacher. I enjoy him very much. Professor Hunt is very knowledgeable in his subject. I like his class better than any others. On. And then I got down to the end of the page, which just sort of jumped out at me. I could see it said, if I only had 1 hour to live, I'd want to spend it in Professor Hunt's macroeconomic class. I thought, wow. I turned the page and it continued on to where it said, because if I only had 1 hour to live, Professor Hunt and his lectures on macroeconomics seemed to go on for eternity. And that was my second lesson in life. Everything is not perfect. Which brings us to Rotary's efforts to eradicate polio. It's not been a perfect effort. We started this in 1985 when we had 385,000 cases a year. That's 1,000 cases every single day of children that were afflicted with this horrible disease. And now, 2019, we're down to less than 50 cases a year. We would say we're this close. But wait, we started saying in 2005 we were going to finish this on our 100th anniversary. We continue on because There's no such thing as perfect in life, but we must finish this pursuit. We must. And my third lesson in life is that attitude is everything. In the year 1991, I was selected to be a group study exchange leader to the Philippines. Group study exchange, you have 4 non-Rotarians and a Rotarian leader, which was myself, and the other 4 are young executives, and I could say I was young at that time too. I can remember the flight that we made. It was grueling, over 20 hours to get to the Philippines. We got off of the plane and we were greeted by a group of Rotarians, and among them was this elderly man that had a great smile and a hug, and he only introduced himself as Benny. As we went on our trip, we went to the different Rotary clubs, we gave our speeches, they showed us their factories, we went through their schools, we visited their government, and we had our own vocational days where we would spend the day with somebody of our own vocation. But I'd keep running into Benny, and I'd ask, well, who is Benny? And they said, well, he's Mr. Rotary. He is the father of eradication from polio for the Philippines. So when I got a chance to talk to Benny one evening, I asked him, well, how did this all start? And he said, well, it was when I was being trained to be a Rotarian, or being a district governor, and I traveled to New York. And what we do when we're district governors, we are all sent, all 530 of us, to a location. Now it's in California, and we're all trained together. And at these events, you have time to socialize and meet your classmates. And that's what happened to him as he was at a party. And at that time, they emphasized classification. And on the name badge of an individual, it had said the classification was vaccine manufacturing. So he asked him, he said, well, what kind of vaccine do you manufacture? He says, well, we manufacture the vaccine for the wild polio virus. And he said, oh, you know, you're aware that the Philippines has the highest per capita of polio victims in the world. And it's such a shame. I'm a doctor and I can't do anything about it because my country simply can't afford the vaccine. And this classmate that he had met from Canada said, oh, it's too bad. He had time to think about it. And the next day he sought out Benny and he said, you know, Benny, I've been thinking about this. I think there's a way we could help you. You know, we manufacture this vaccine. Our main customer is the United States. We have to date all our packages for expiration. And United States, if that is within 6 months of that date, they won't allow us to ship it. So as a result, we have to throw away a lot of vaccine. And it's perfectly good because there's really no expiration date as long as you keep it cool and in good condition. Now, if you had a way of paying for the freight, I can ship you all the free vaccine you want. Well, Benny went home. He was so proud of his training and he talked to people about what he had learned. But he also had a special place in his heart for this new friend that he met from Canada, and he made a determination he was going to raise money to make those shipments, and he did. And that was the start of eradication of polio in the Philippines. So the Philippines became an early country like the United States that totally eradicated polio. Fast forward to 6 years, Benny becomes a member of the Rotary International Directors, one of the 18 most important people in all of Rotary. He travels to Evanston, Illinois at headquarters for his meetings, and they're in discussions on planning what they can do. Chuck Keller is president, and he brings up the fact that maybe we ought to think about what we could do for this dreaded disease, polio. And reaction of a lot of the board members was, oh, that's way too big of a project. It would cost too much. How would we know the volunteers? And then Benny stepped forward and told him the story about the Philippines and how they had done it. And he said, you know, if we can do it in the Philippines, we can do it anywhere. And that was the start of polio taking on the project of eradicating polio from the earth. My third lesson in this, that is, attitude is everything. Benny had that attitude. And that's the attitude that we have to have. We can finish this. We're only this far away. And you would say, well, you know, we keep doing this. You told us that in 2005, on our 100th anniversary of Rotary, we would be done with this, and yet we're still working on it. Yes, we are, but we need to finish the job. Why? Because if there's any cases left, we're only a plane ride away from the possibility of it spreading. So how can we help? Well, how'd you like to join us for a virtual dinner? October 24th, Ohio Pathways Rotary Club will have a virtual dinner. How do you do that? You simply sign on to our website. You may be watching this program right now from our website. If not, go to RotaryEClub6600.org. And when you're on our main page, our home page, you'll see a blue button that says Donate, End Polio Now. How much does it cost you for a meal? Well, we're suggesting that you pay that price of a meal, $25. $25 is not an expensive meal. It'll get you a nice meal, but not a great meal. And we will apply that to the Polio Plus program. It will be put in your name, sent to the Rotary Foundation. The Rotary Foundation will acknowledge you for your donation, and we can make our effort to continue this, to end it once and for all. I want to thank you for your time. My name is James Hunt, and until we meet again, happy trails to you.